All right. Hey, everybody. Um, Hope you have a nice evening or any time of the day, really. So we have our new friends here tonight from Cast. You guys, can you hear me?
Yep, totally.
Nice. Pleasure to hear you guys. So
pleasure is mine. So we're waiting for Timur and Dmitry to reconnect.
Here I go.
Hello.
Hi there, guys.
Ooh, lots of you.
Yep.
So you've been doing some streaming already, haven't you?
Yeah, we got 100 people waiting for us to start. We already said something that Game Drive is going to be a really cool driver for your game on different stages of development. And because we don't know so many details, we would like to know more and to ask more if it's very possible today.
Sure, absolutely. We're just gonna have to wait for a couple of minutes more, for the guys who are watching us in Zoom to maybe go grab some coffee or tea or water or whatever, actually. Whatever you guys usually drink when you're watching these things.
When it's Thursday evening, we're not judging. You can drink whatever you want. Actually, yeah, that's it.
Come on, guys, it's game dev. Who cares?
That's it. When you're a game dev rock star, no one really judges you because if you win, you win. That's it.
Yep.
Absolutely. So we have some viewers from New York here in Zoom. Good morning, Barry. He says good morning from New York. So really nice, really a pleasure to know that we have viewers from all over the world, not just Russia or Europe. So yeah, we're gonna have for like a minute more.
Yeah, we're just gathering right now, both on YouTube and in Zoom. So I don't know. Take a deep breath, collect your thoughts, think about some questions. If you're watching us on YouTube, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be absolutely lit show. And don't be shy. Ask away what you think, because it's live conference. You can ask some things that you cannot ask, for example, in Twitter or anywhere else. That's the main driver of this format.
You actually have a chance to to get an answer for your question here. So
yep,
I'm gonna support the guys here and just say that if you have any questions regarding the game drive itself or any processes of the project, please feel free to ask them either in Zoom or in YouTube comment section. But we're going to get back to that. All right. It's 3 minutes past 5 p.m. Moscow time, so we can start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Game Drive AMA session number 1. Last week, we had our welcome session where we introduced the Game Drive campaign, an initiative by My Games and Google aimed to support mobile game developers from EMEA countries. I sincerely hope you watched that. Anyway, today we welcome you to our first educational session in a series of events open to literally everyone, irrespective of a team size, experience level, or whatever, who would like to learn more about mobile game development and, of course, publishing. My name is Anton Gorodetsky, and I'm the head of Player One Media Project at My Games, and I will be your host today for this particular session. In addition, and that's a pleasure of mine, today's AMA is supported by our invited guests from Cast Media, Maxim and Timur, who are streaming us. Who are streaming us today on their YouTube channel. So we welcome the guys and their listeners, of course, and we invite them to join the discussion in the comments section on the Cast YouTube live stream chat. We are, of course, reviewing the comments and will definitely answer all of your questions. So you can say hi, guys, now.
Hi there, guys.
Hi there.
we're really glad to be here, and it's really interesting to have some really good input into the acceleration program that we have here and about the practice set that you have here, because I got lots of different questions and I really hope to find out some really cool answers.
All right. Yep. All right. Thank you, guys. Before we start, let's go through a few technical details about the session. Of course, all our AMA sessions will be in English. However, we'll also have a Russian translation, so feel free to choose the language stream by clicking on the glow bottom button of your Zoom interface panel to choose the correct language for the translation. All right, our speaker session will take approximately 40 minutes, and then we'll have a 40-minute Q&A session with you, so please prepare your questions in advance. Don't hesitate to ask them by using the Q&A chat option in the bottom panel of the Zoom call interface. That is, of course, if you're watching us in Zoom. And once again, please join the discussion in the comments section on the Zavtracast YouTube live stream chat. For those of you who do not know what Game Drive is and what we're doing here today, let me briefly explain the idea of the campaign. So Game Drive is a joint initiative created together by MyGames and Google. And this is a business acceleration campaign for mobile game developers, which is designed to help developers from EMEA countries, Europe, Middle East, Africa, in the development, publishing, promotion, and scaling their games. So what do we offer to developers? First, individual project evaluation by MyGames and Google experts. Second, detailed feedback about the project and analysis of opportunities growth. Third, marketing, publishing, and project scaling expert advices. Fourth, business potential review. And the last one, but not the least, individual consultations with each studio. In addition, in the second season, MyGames and Google offer the following advantages to the developers. Number one, unique opportunity for internal benchmarking tests by Google and MyGames. Number two, Google advertising credits for UA testing. And number three, opportunity to receive investments from MyGames with an investment pool of up to $30 million. So if you are interested in participating in the campaign, please apply on the website mgvc.com/gamedrive. All right, after having said that, let me introduce today's speakers. Today, we'll talk about such topics as creatives for the game, user acquisition, and of course, benchmarks. We have several quite interesting speakers today, but please remember that we're also here to talk to you. So again, please do not hesitate to bring your questions and send them to Q&A chat here, or, whenever you feel like. We're going to answer all of them. Finally, let me welcome our speakers, introduce them for today's session from MyGames, Google, and PanzerDog Studio. Here we go. The first one is Anastasia Selchuk, app specialist, Google. Hi, Anastasia.
Hi, everyone.
All right.
Happy to see you here.
All right. Vlad Fedichev, brand manager, MyGames Venture Capital. Vlad?
Yeah, hey there.
Nice. Alexey Kaidalov, head of marketing, PanzerDog Studio.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Alexey. Anastasia Grishina, brand manager, MGVC.
Hello.
Hello. Valeria Lepa, app creative specialist, Google.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Of course, Vasily Dolin, analytics expert at Google.
Hi, everyone.
A pleasure. And the last, but Artem Ripakov, executive producer, MyGames Venture Capital.
Hi there.
All right. So that's all the speakers for today. Lots of amazing people. And well, enough of me already. Let's get to the actual presentation. So Anastasia, you're the first one. Please do us a favor of starting.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Anton, for the introduction. So we'll start today's session by talking about user acquisition and marketing strategies for launching a new game. So the do's and don'ts, the essential stages of preparation, the launch phases, and of course the prediction models and budgeting along the way. So next slide, please. I guess that it's not a secret to anyone that launching a new game, or actually soft launching a new game, has basically two big reasons. The first one is to collect as much data as possible and as much user feedback as possible, and to optimize all that you can optimize before going into global launch. That includes product optimization and marketing and creative optimization. The second reason is testing for profitability, and this means making sure that your LTV is higher than your CPI and that you can actually go into global launch with metrics that are good enough for you to run user acquisition campaigns. And of course, this is also essential, especially for multiplayer games, checking your server infrastructure, making sure that it's ready for the in-surge of new users when you go into global. This might be quite obvious, but there's actually quite a few misconceptions when it comes to soft launching games. And one of them is that you can actually rely on organic users and store featuring for user acquisition. So I guess that in 2021, potentially, like, no one expects users to come on their own without any marketing effort. But not everyone knows that store featurings, although they are quite a good marketing tool and very useful for game developers, they're not a silver bullet, and you can't rely on them to launch your game. The second thing that you shouldn't expect is to users to behave how you want them to behave and how you expect them to behave. Hence, all the testing and the iterations and the optimization. So you have to be open to the possibilities of the actual user behavior. The third thing is you shouldn't rely on influencers. Now, influencer marketing is a very trendy thing. A lot of people really want to use influencers to talk about their game, and this is also a very nice thing to have. But unfortunately, this is not the ideal marketing channel to use to launch a new game. Influencers can be very hard to work with, quite inconsistent when it comes to user quality, and all of these things are essential for you to actually understand how your game performs. And of course, you shouldn't make any emotions-based decisions, and we understand that your game is like, you like it and it's your baby, but still you should be very data-oriented, very facts-focused. Next slide, please. Before soft launch, hopefully you've done some market research and some target audience research, and you know who your user is and what your market is. If you can, try and test your prototype for marketability to ensure that your concept is interesting for your target audience before you actually go into soft launch. The second thing you should try to do is to define the kill factor, or the metrics that will show you that you shouldn't go into global launch before the soft launch process. Why this is important to set up prior to soft launch? Because you can get carried away during the soft launch process and all the different testing and iterations. And it's important to really have a clear understanding of where your goals are and stick to this. It's also important to set up all the communication between different people who are in charge of launching the game, including marketing, analytics, and game design, and any other departments, if you have them, that can contribute to the launch process. Because they essentially should be on the same page, and any issues with communication might harm the effect and the results. And of course, you should form the launch strategy and the KPIs before actually going into soft launch, and this is what we are going to talk about next. There are some essential building blocks of a game launch, and this includes marketing SDKs and integrations, such as AppsFlyer, Adjust, Google Firebase, etc. You should check that everything works properly and that all the data is consistent between all of these platforms and SDKs. This is very important so that you don't end up in a chaos of numbers. Creatives, also very important to have many different formats and multiple designs. Don't just stick to one video and two banners. My colleagues are going to talk more about creatives a bit later on. App Store optimization and localization. Please bear in mind that any countries that you are targeting, your app and your product page in the store should be localized to. So if you're targeting your soft launch on Brazil, for example, your app and your store page should be localized into Portuguese. And of course, everything should look cool for the user. Analytical infrastructure. This is very closely linked to the first point. You should really know where and when to analyze your product performance, your marketing performance, so that everyone has one place to look at the numbers, basically. And of course, you should get some benchmark data to compare your results to. I'm sure that all of you know sources like App Annie. Google and Facebook also provide benchmarks on marketing, so this is very useful as well. And now to the actual launch phases. Before going into soft launch, developers normally have a technical launch where they check the build for stability, for bugs, etc. This should be cheap and cheerful, basically. Tier 3 countries, the cheapest traffic that you can get, Android only, one traffic source is enough, and this normally doesn't take a lot of time. Then you can, if everything goes well, you can actually go into soft launch. And it consists of two separate processes, checking the first-time user experience, which basically means that your game is fun to play and that the retention and engagement are high. And the second part is the monetization part, where you check if people want to pay in your game, basically. So when it comes to first-time user experience, the first phase of the soft launch, you can actually expand beyond tier 3 countries into something more targeted, but still we don't advise normally to go into really expensive countries, because this is not necessary at this point. You can stick to Android only, because if your gameplay is enjoyable on Android, then it'll probably also be on iOS. And here you check all the marketing and product things that you want to look at, but the most important things are retention and engagement, and when it comes to marketing, it's CTR, which is click-through rate, and install rate, basically. So you want to check that your creatives are good enough as well. When you're checking the monetization part, you can actually expand into tier 1 countries, and you should do that because you actually want to check if your users are willing to pay in countries that are more likely to do so. You can expand onto another platform, which is iOS as well. And the main product KPIs here are, of course, average revenue per user and the percentage of paying users, but don't forget about the previous KPIs, which are also very important, because your paying user percentage can go up and retention can go down, and vice versa. So it's important to keep an eye on everything. Now, these two phases normally take 1 to 3 months, and the number of installs is dependent heavily on the amount of tests that you have to run to polish everything. But you have to look at least 10 to 20,000 installs, and the networks, the traffic sources that developers usually use at these stages are Facebook and Google. And then you go into global release. Congratulations if you've done it this far. And then you can target all the countries that you want, both platforms, use any marketing channels that you want. And when it comes to the actual KPIs and budgeting, etc., my colleague Vlad will talk about it more. And Vlad, the floor is yours.
Yeah, here I am. So now we will talk about the predictions and the budgets. This is something that you'll need before the global release, and probably at the same time as you go for the soft launch monetization part. And this is quite important because it should help you to understand if you can go forward or do some more updates or even start a new project. So let's start up with the information that you need. And you need a lifetime revenue for in-app purchases by day 7 and day 90. Lifetime revenue means that you choose a certain cohort of users and count how much money you receive within the first 7 days. Same goes for the day 90. So you calculate how much you gain from the first 90 days. As another point, we got advertising monetization. That's the revenue from the rewarded videos, interstitials, banners, and other advertising placement you got in the game. And this goes as another point because we really need to separate these two, as they got a different accumulation structure. At first, they might be similar, but the more time passes, the more will be the difference. Yeah, you can get all the data from almost any analytics system, so you don't even need to calculate it. But what you need to calculate is coefficient of change, and it's the third point. And you can simply do it by dividing the day 90 revenue by day 7 revenue. Yeah, and yep. Oops. Let's get back to the previous slide for just for a little bit, and you can do the same by with the other data you got, but it probably won't be as accurate because of the lack of information. So yeah, that's was a theory. Let's move to the practice, which is the next slide. Here we got an input data, a formula, and a little spoiler: we calculated everything already. Everything is colored so you can match the numbers. But first things first, we need to calculate coefficient for in-app revenue and the advertising revenue as well. And in the formula, you can already see that they are equal to 5 and 2. And this is the difference I was talking earlier, different accumulation structure. So if you use only one coefficient for everything, result will be incorrect and won't help you much. So let's check the formula. We need to multiply in-app revenue and then advertising revenue by appropriate coefficients. After that, add one to another, and simply divide everything by a spend we got. So as you can see, we already have a result, which is equal 1, which stays for 100%. That means that we will get all of our investment back, and as you can see, within the 90 days with our current spend. Everything what is below 100% means that you are underperforming, and everything that's above means that you are overperforming, and you probably can scale your user acquisition up. Next slide. Let's move to the budgets, as I promised. So here we got a user acquisition goal to return 100% of our money back, and we already know how to do it with the prediction formula. Yeah, but as you may know, not all the money come back within the first month. So we'll get some percent of money back every month, every cohort. Here, as an example, we got a 50% revenue back by the first month, 25 by the second, and another 25% by the third. Numbers are not real; they will depend on your game, but let's use them for an easy calculations. So in October, our spend is 100K. By the first month, we will get back half of it, which is 50K. And all other money are split between the second and the third month. They are not disappearing. It's November and December. And let's see what we got in December. Our spend is 200K. By the first month, we receive 100, which is half of it. But at the same time, we will also get money from the second cohort of the November and October's third cohort. So totally, we will accumulate to bigger numbers. And if you compare October and December, then you can see that here in October, we got 50% of our money back as a result of the month. But in December, it's something close to 70% already. And that's how your monthly revenue flow is created. Why is it important, you might ask? Because if you don't have investments or you are limited in budgets, then you should plan every month so as not to get in a cash gap as a studio. And I made an example with only 3 months, but I strongly recommend you to do a 1-year edition and use the same numbers of cohorts as months of gameplay content you got. That's probably all about the budgets, but if you got something to ask, we will have a Q&A session as we discussed, so be my guests. Let's move to the next slide. And let's just briefly remember bullet points of the presentation. Check all the integrations. Don't waste your money at the beginning on tier 1 countries. If you can get the same results on tier 2, tier 3, but it will be much cheaper. Better not to skip any launch phases. They are all really important. Do tests and do researches. Better to be backed up by some analysis, by some numbers. All of your departments should understand what everyone is doing. Always plan your future, and I hope you succeed. So yeah, that's probably all from my side, and I pass the mic to Alexei from the PanzerDog studio. Thanks.
Hey guys, it's Alex from PanzerDog Studio. Our game Tactical is a top-down multiplayer shooter available on mobile devices and PC. What's unique about our game, unlike other shooter games, we have real-time physics, drivable vehicles, and destructible environment. Today, I want to share with you our story about how we grew from a startup with a prototype to an independent studio that has the best-in-class mobile game with over 20 million players across all platforms. Tactical came through all the launch phases mentioned by my co-speakers, but in its own unique way. Our project was in a deep production stage when we started working with MGVC. Because it's a multiplayer shooter game, we were really concerned about stability and latency issues. In the technical launch phase, we were optimizing the game, trying different server providers, improving the netcode, and fixing existing bugs. The next step we took was working on making players stay in our game. At first, retention in our game was way below the market benchmarks. It took a lot of trial and error. We've tried like 20 different tutorial levels and had lots and lots of iterations on how the first couple of matches should feel, where we should help our new players, and how competitive it should be for them. Once new players began to stay, we focused on monetization. There were endless discussions within the team on what and how we should sell. Final decision was that we are going to monetize cosmetics and power, but ultimately the game should feel balanced and fair at high-level play. So we've rebuilt Tactical around our new monetization model. Then the big day came. Everything was in place and we were ready to go. The global launch was phenomenal, if I'd say the least. We received about 3 million players in our first month. The rest is history, as they say. Next slide, please. We were a small team consisting mostly of artists and programmers. And obviously we had some doubts. How were we going to publish the game? No one on the team had any deep understanding of marketing or any go-to-market experience. Where would we get players from? We had no idea how to grow once the game was released. What and how should we analyze in the game? We had rapid iterations based on our feelings and feedback from friends and family. The data came in much later. How would we compare with other games? Without any benchmarks, we had zero understanding of what's okay and what's not, what we should do and what we shouldn't. The MGVC and Google teams supported us on this rocky road. Besides sharing their knowledge by answering our seemingly silly questions, they helped us with benchmarks, reports, tools, testing budgets, and up promotions. During that year, we grew as a team and became competent in such spheres as finances, user acquisition, analytics, promotions, App Store optimization, creative production. Today, we are pretty much self-sufficient, both in product development and marketing. We have our own user acquisition team that collaborates with my games and teams from other studios that are in our family to find new ways of attracting players. About 80% of our new creatives are produced in-house. It allows us to iterate faster, to test new hypotheses and grow the team's experience. We generate new ideas and can test them ourselves, both in game development and marketing. It allows us to stay flexible. Having an experienced team allows us to not only to see the full picture, but be in charge of it too. We are always in the process of trying out new technologies that appear on the market, as well as improving on the ones we already use. I'll hand it over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So back to the creative process production. Today, we are going to talk about when to start the creative production, do and don'ts for the gaming creatives, creatives ideas development, how to measure success, benchmarks, and your final goal. Next slide, please. Let's begin with when to start creative production. There are key stages of your project lifecycle, as my colleagues mentioned before, and of every steps, the requirements are different. On the tech launch and soft launch, your main goal is to test your in-game metrics and understand whether your project will be successful and profitable when you go global. So for these stages, we recommend to create 1 to 5 gameplay or hybrid creators that will help you understand the clear picture of your metrics and exclude possible influence on conversion. When we are closer to global launch, it's time to scale the creative production to find new audience and to hold the growth of CPI and CPPU. And here we recommend to have no less than 15 to 20 creators per month when you approach global, and scale even more when you release globally. Next slide. So the gameplay creatives and hybrid creatives for the soft launch could be your core gameplay or main features of the game, a combination of gameplay and storyline, different highlights of your unique selling points. As for the global launch, it's time to experiment with hybrid and story-based creatives, where you either slightly change the mechanics or show it in a different way, showing new characters and settings, exaggerate story. Misleads are also widely used, showing different mechanics, but advertisers nowadays should be very careful with using misleads. First of all, the marketing platforms become more strict about running such creatives. For example, Facebook implemented a new policy that don't allow you to show deceptive mechanics. And second, such creatives can and possibly will impact your conversion and in-game funnel. Main format in UA is videos in all standard dimensions. However, additional formats such as banners and playables are also worth for testing to reach a new audience. Here is a brief sum up what we recommend to do and don't do for your gaming creators. First of all, as I mentioned before, start with gameplay videos to see real metrics of your project. Maintain the full funnel, which is CTR, conversion rate of your store page, install rate, CPI or CPPU if you achieve your paying audience retention. Improve every step of the funnel, test your approaches in teams. Even if you have your internal production, it's important to partner with other teams to generate new ideas and find new solutions for your production. As for not recommended making misleads and believe that it will fix everything, rely on your CTR or your CPI, because as I mentioned before, it's important to maintain the full funnel. And last 2 points are kindly related, which is create minimum creatives for global launch or stop making creatives at all, because creatives tend to burn out and you always need to have a replacement for your current benchmark in order to be effective. Next slide. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you about the creative idea development. So the creative process today combines art and science, so it's necessary to put it into a systematic workflow. So to start with your idea development process, it's absolutely key to understand who your players are. So not only age or gender, but also how and when they interact with your game, what the interests are. So basically you can read some reviews in app stores, interview players if you have opportunity, or check community if you have one. So it's good to gather different insights. Also, it's very important to understand what the key motivators for your players and how and when they decide to invest money. So this helps you to define your unique selling point, and you can highlight it in your ads. After that, you can conduct a competitive research. So it's critical to define your own positioning. And your competitors could be games that have the same core gameplay or same genre. And one, you have compiled a list of competitors. Focus on how these products and how these competitors present itself in App Store and in ads as well. So and also to help you to understand what the key trends at the moment are, so you can copy some of the mechanics. Once you prepared your source file, you will launch tests and analyze the results, and this will help you to define the best performing ads. And based on these results, so you can iterate your existing creatives, so you can make different lengths, create different intro at the beginning of the video, change different characters, change different settings. And by iterating existing creatives, you can prolong the lifetime of good performing creatives. But also it's important to innovate. So please make sure that you have new creative approach, but I would guess this will be more relevant on the global stage. And the next slide, you can see the process of development. So for core audience, as Anastasia mentioned, it's good to stick with some gameplay or gameplay-ish mechanics. And once you want to go wider for some similar audience, you can change different mechanics and change different story intro. And once you want to go broad, you can experiment with different motivations, with different characters, stories, and settings. And on the next slide, sorry, you can see the motivation model. So some players love, for example, achievement mode. So they want to achieve more levels, they want to achieve more gold. Some players are really into creativity, so they want to customize their characters. So there are several motivation models and different players, they prefer different type of mechanic. So you can see here, there are 7 main motivation models, and you can experiment in them, and you can highlight different approaches. And the next slide, we can see some example. For example, the first one is like pure gameplay when we show just mechanic of the game. But the second one is focused on customization mode. So you can see how you can customize your character to make your avatar. And some people that they have creativity motivation, they're really into customization. So this is, I guess, one of the current trends I see at the moment. And the third example, you can see that some players are really into upgrading their character. So there is a main focus on achievement mode. So in order to understand the key trends and what's going on in your on competitor side, you can check different tools. I would recommend Ads Library and Mighty Signal because they're free and you can gather some ideas from there. But also at any Sensor Tower, Eptic or Social Beta, you can check it to also understand some metrics and understand what's going on in terms of creatives, in terms of app stores, and different other information that will help you to define your creative process. And I will pass it to Anastasia.
Thank you. So how to measure success? In my games and the MGVC, we use the matrix called install rate for evaluating creative success. It calculates as a conversion from impression to installs. And it covers CTR and conversion rate of your store page. And in the example, you can see how with the same CTR and the different conversion rate, your install rate differs, which relies to the change of your CPIs or CPPU. Another metric that we use calls retention install rate, which calculates as retention on the second day multiplied by install rate. That helps you understand not only what to convert players, but also make them stay. However, it's worth to mention that this metrics requires a lot more installs to the data to be representative. So please keep that in mind, and we use this metric for projects at scale. Here on this slide, I wanted to show you a brief calculator that can help you to calculate your spend if you know your install rate and CPM, and therefore estimate CPI and CPPU that you have in the end, and understand how many times you need to improve your install rate, for example, in order to achieve better results. However, since the attribution is available only for Android right now, and the iOS attribution is not available due to app tracking transparency, this calculator works only for Android. Next slide. And here's our final desired result. If you found your benchmark, it allows you to scale your marketing and achieve more audience, and that's That's our final goal, basically. Next slide. Yeah, here I showed like brief benchmarks depending on the Facebook optimizations. Please keep in mind that this is an average understanding of the market. Metrics are very much depend on the genre and the category you're working in. So these are approximate numbers. And please keep in mind that for example, AO campaigns on Facebook, metrics such as CTR and install rate are decreased about twice from MI campaigns for installs, and for VO about twice from AO. Thanks. That's it from my side.
Yep. And I will be talking about the benchmarks and basically what the benchmarks are. As far as I'm working as an analyst in Google for about 5 years, I've heard a lot of questions about what is it and what is inside. So what basically benchmarks are in our definition. So benchmark is a set of metrics calculated based on average performance of the peer set. The peer set is the set of competitors of a given game or given company. Usually it consists of more than 5 apps or companies with similar metrics. So for example, if you're creating a match-3 game and you are asking us to provide the benchmarks, we will provide you with a benchmark which will consist of 5 or more match-3 games, something like this. And any given app or company should not be more than 40% of the total group spend or revenue in a given country. Basically, this prevents us to provide data of a single competitor, for example, if the category is very, very concentrated in the hands of some big player. And the benchmark for each country is calculated separately. Next slide, please. And what kind of insights you can get from benchmarks? This is very important because I really saw a lot of examples when people were using benchmarks in a very not an appropriate way. So first of all, what can you get from the benchmarks? From play benchmarks, you can get the average metrics like RPPU, retention, RPU, and so on, like stickiness and so on. Any relative metric, average audience demographic split for your peer set versus yours. Then for Google Ads benchmarks, you can have average Google Ads product. So for example, are your competitors using more action campaigns or install focused campaigns or ROAS campaigns, or format split like video, text, and image, which is related to creatives. And what is your competitors' average monthly spend is? So this is very important thing, because this is the average spend of the top 5 competitors, and you should understand that inside of this peer set there are some players that spends more and some players that spend less. So this is not the maximum level you can reach, but this is definitely the if you are reaching this level, you are kind of in a top 5 or something like this. You can get the average CPI, CPC, CPM. So basically, this is any metric that can be calculated from the cost, impressions, clicks, and installs. Any kind of relative metric out of this could be calculated, and we can provide it to you. For Google AdMob, you can get the average product split, so banner, rewarded ads, interstitial ads split between them, and the average CPM on a given market. Next slide. What kind of insights you can get from the benchmarks? So any kind of benchmark will not disclose you the individual publisher, company, or app performance. So do not try to. So for example, you found some benchmarks on, I don't know, any kind of category, any genre, for example, I don't know, RPG genre. So do not try to understand if there is, I don't know, IFK arena metrics or not. This would be not. So this would be average metric for the peer set. in-play benchmarks, we're not providing any kind of absolute metrics, so you cannot compare your game installs or game revenue with your peer set. So you can try to use another data sources for this, like a penny or something like this. And any data about individual users could not be also provided. From Google Ads, you cannot get non-average metrics. So we cannot provide you with minimum or maximum spend levels or installs or any kind of metric. We cannot provide you with any data behind the install. So we cannot understand what is the average CPA or ROAS of the peer set. We cannot provide you any data about the campaign setting. So was it I don't know, what was the actual target CPI or target CPA or target ROAS, anything like this. And from Google AdMob, you cannot find any kind of any absolute metric, no revenue, no impressions at all, and any non-average relative metrics could also be not provided. So on this, I'm passing the mic to Artyom, who will say how they're using the benchmarks in MGVC.
Thanks, Vasily. I have only one slide about the benchmarks at MGVC. And so yeah, here at MGVC, we analyzed a bunch of different metrics. On this slide, you can find some of the most important ones. These are average revenue per paying user, average revenue per user, some marketing metrics like CPR, CPI, CTR, install rate, and also your CPM in a particular country. So all of these metrics on this slide are very important on your road to success. And speaking about where you can check any kind of the benchmarks, we actually advise you to use a penny, look into the Epsilon annual reports, attend all kinds of webinars and events that are hosted by Google and other teams, and of course, networking, which works really well at conferences, summits, and other events. And you shouldn't miss any kind of opportunity to gain and share experience with other app developers, especially in your genre. And a couple of words about being a part of My Games ecosystem. You know, this opens access to your expertise, a huge amount of internal average benchmarks across different genres, because with hundreds of games launched, we have accumulated a decent amount of information that helps us to build internal benchmarks, and we are always happy and ready to share them inside My Games ecosystem. And of course, don't miss an opportunity to apply for this event, because each of the finalists will get a huge benchmark overview from Google team and AppsFlyer teams, and your game overview from MGVC team, of course. And of course, a sweet opportunity to raise investments from My Games, MGVC, and to enter the My Games ecosystem. So apply and enjoy all of the advantages of this season. Absolutely unique opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you to all the speakers. This has been inspiring. And from what I've just seen, I mean, money basically going into your hands, guys. You should just listen to the advice and do what these beautiful people tell you. And now it's the best part of the Game Drive AMA session. It's the Q&A part, of course. So this is going to be even more exciting than the speaker part. All right. What we're going to do right now is that we have two sets of questions. The first one is the questions we got here in Zoom, and the second part is the questions we get in the YouTube stream from Zavtracast channel. So the ones that we have in Zoom are going to be voiced by me and then answered by the speakers, and the ones from the YouTube stream are going to be voiced by the guys from Zavtracast and again answered by the speakers. All right, let's get to it. The first one question is from Zoom. What is included in the concept of basic metrics? CPI, what else? So who's going to answer that?
Yeah, I'm going to answer that. basically the best answer to this would be, so we had the slides of what is included in benchmarks, and basically a lot of stuff about CPI, IPM, CTR, the average product split in terms of UA. So it would be target ROAS campaigns, target CPI, target CPA campaigns. From Google Play side, there would be data about the RPPU, RPU, and all the other stuff about the game versus its competitors. And from the AdMob side, this would be the average product split, banner interstitial rewarded, and the average CPM per country. So basically, we will try to cover the whole economy of the game, what from our point of view. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Vasily. We're moving to the next one, but before we do that, I should remind you that please do not hesitate to answer. To ask your questions in any comfortable in any comfortable way for you guys. So whatever you're watching us, either Zoom or YouTube, just type in your questions. We're going to answer all of them, because this is one of those rare chances where the guys from MGVC and My Games and Google are here to answer them. All right.
I also just encourage other speakers to add something up, even if the other current speaker is speaking right now. Add some insights if you have them. Don't be afraid to to add something atop of the question above.
Please do that. Exactly. All right. Moving on to the next one. Speaking of KPIs, what is a healthy benchmark for downloads? 100K, 200K? All right, guys, who's going to answer that?
Yeah, I can try.
Do that.
Yeah. Hi, thanks. So yeah, basically, there's no healthy benchmark for downloads, because it all really depends on your game and on the launch stage. Basically, I hope that this is about the launch stages and not about the global launch, because of course, when you're in global launch, like, it should be much, much higher. So when you're in soft launch, like I said previously, you should start by looking at like 10 to 20K. This is the minimum amount. And then it can go upwards, 200, 300K, depending on how many tests you have to run, whether you have a multiplayer game, which of course makes the desired amount of installs a bit higher than if you have a single player game. So yeah, there's no healthy benchmark. It all really depends on how many installs you have to have in order to test all your hypotheses and to check everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Anastasia. I'm gonna give a chance to voice some questions from YouTube. So please, guys.
So the thing is, one of our viewers actually asked a really general question about whatever is happening here. Is it actually a venture capital stuff in the game dev? Is it actually similar to venture capital or not?
I can answer this one. Thank you for a question. Here at MGVC, we invest in absolutely different rounds. So even if you have only an idea, or maybe you are already a successful app developer with millions of installs, downloads, or revenue, maybe, we can also find a room to collaborate. So apply and let's speak and collaborate.
All right. So I guess if anyone wants to add up anything, that would be really cool.
Just more general question. How venture capital in game dev works in terms of what is specific for game dev, in terms of venture capital? How is it differs from high-tech venture capital, or maybe, I don't know, financial venture capital?
Yeah. Are there any actual difference between the game dev venture capital or any other service or product or anything like that? This is a bit more general, but anyone wants to answer that? I guess it was a little bit too difficult. Yeah.
Yep.
I can try myself, but still, Artem, maybe you could do that.
I'm sorry, I missed a question. Maybe you can repeat, please.
Yes. What is different about venture capital in gaming industry? What differs the gaming industry from, I don't know, financials or high tech?
Any other products or services?
Yes, it's a good question. So yeah, the difference is huge, I think, because here in game dev, you believe in the team and you believe in idea sometimes, and you never know will it work good or bad on the start, and so it's more about your exact opinion and your vision for a team and for a product itself, which you invest in. And so I think the difference is in this.
So as far as I understand, you actually say that it doesn't really matter if your product is really trendy or if it's really on the hype, but you believe in the team and in the product. Even
yes,
if it's not
right.
Even if it's not really like trendy or something that is really popular among the game industry itself right now.
Yes.
So if you believe in it,
it should be absolutely a freak idea, but if it suits the market, why not? Why not? And if it's answers the idea how to make a business to get millions of downloads, yes, of course, why not?
Okay, so the next question is that one of our viewers actually asked that, okay, the topic is really interesting. I would really hope that there would be some links to the MJVC pages and resources in this presentation. So are we going to publish all the links? I mean, especially, okay, we got this presentation, but would you share anything else? Because we've got a slide just right now that is mjvc.com/game drive. Is it really sufficient, or should we post any other links?
You know, it's sufficient now, but we will also share, yes, link to the MJVC site and also my games and Google if you want. So yes, all the links will be here or in the message after an email after the event, of course. Yes.
Okay, next one. I guess Anton, it's your turn.
Yeah, thanks, man. All right, we're not gonna leave you hanging, guys, definitely. So please feel free to visit the website, check out the QR code, and you're gonna have all the YouTube links after that. All right, we have a couple of questions in Zoom. The next one being, which tools are the most effective to collect the data about users? I believe Nastya wants to answer that question. Yeah. She's eager.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically there's two types of data that you can collect about your users. One is the in-game data, and here I'm not an expert. So if anyone has any like specific analytical tools for in-game analytics, then please feel free to add up. When it comes to marketing data, then the tools that you should be looking at are tracking platforms like AppsFlyer, Adjust, Singular, and there's several more which are slightly less popular. These will allow you to collect all the data that you need on your marketing activities. And of course, platforms, SDKs like Google Firebase that I mentioned, and Facebook SDK that also allows you to get quite a lot of insights into your audience are also very, very useful.
Okay, great. The next one. And yes, Edgar, we see your questions. Please give us some time for that. Some say influencer marketing is one of the most effective tools to attract new users, especially at the game launch. Why don't you recommend relying on this? Huh?
Why? Why don't you?
I have some insights,
yeah,
but
I guess.
All right.
Yeah, I guess my turn again. Yeah, so influencer marketing is a very cool thing, and if you have success with it, that it can allow you to bring in users with very low CPIs. However, this is very unpredictable. When it comes to, let's say, traditional digital marketing channels, everything is very predictable and very stable. You can actually rely on these networks to perform the way they should. When it comes to influencers, it's very complicated to manage them. You ought to have quite a bit of experience of working with influencers in order to have a stable connection with them and to know which are more reliable, what the audience quality is, etc. And even then, you're not exempt from any sudden changes in their schedules, etc. So these things are very nice to have, but you should rely just on them to run marketing activities, let's say.
I would actually add up a little bit because I was working for a few years right now into the app marketing, not really games marketing, but still, it's really interesting that working with the brand recognition and actually boosting your brand recognition through the influencer marketing, it's really cool. Yeah, and still, it's really working in really cool way with the gamer influencers, but still. It's really unpredictable. Yeah, and your return on ad spending is unpredictable if you are not working in synergy with lots of different marketing channels. Because if you are just working with I would say something like performance channels and influencer marketing channels, you couldn't really predict the results. You have to work with lots of different other marketing channels that would be in synergy, and only in that system. It would be barely predictable, but still, if you're scaling up, influencer marketing is really cool. But if you're starting up, influencer marketing is like a Pandora box. So I wouldn't really recommend it as well.
Thank you, guys. We should make Timur a speaker next time. He shares expertise, spills some wisdom as well. All right, moving on. We have a bunch of questions from Edgar. So one of them being which IR is considered to be appropriate. Also, give me a sec. There's a bunch of questions, really. Yeah, which IR is considered to be suitable, and what's the difference between CTR and CR? These are the first questions from him.
Yeah, so this question is for me. So for the CTR, it's the conversion from impression to click, and for CR, it's the conversion from click to install. And so the install rate combines all these two metrics in order for you to understand the performance of your creative and how you attract users. I saw a question which install rate is kind of your entry point. On my slide, I showed the benchmarks. And as I mentioned, it's very much depends on your genre in the project, but these are kind of the basic numbers that you can look at and kind of see whether you're below that or over that, and that could help you understand your state. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Nastya. One more from Zoom, and then we're gonna take some questions from Zavtracast. So, should I start spending the budget for game promotion on the soft launch stage, or should I wait before the game is completely prepared for the launch stage? Vlad, please.
Yeah. So, guys, generally speaking, you will spend your money all the way from the tech launch to the global launch, because every time you bring new users for certain needs, as for example, you need user acquisition activities to get some data about integrations, retention, monetization part, and etc. So, and yet, if I understand the question right, then it will depend on if you are ROI positive, or not. If you get all of your investment back, you can spend money as much money as you get. And still, I recommend not to spend a lot, even if you want, before the global launch, because global launch means that your game is ready to see the world and maximize your income. So that's probably my answer for this question.
Okay, thanks. All right, you guys can have it now.
Yep. So we've got a question from an actual developer, a mobile developer, a friend of mine. He's watching us right now. And he's asking very bluntly, kind of too casual of a question, maybe. Well, let's for a second pretend that I have a very bright idea, maybe innovative one, cool prototype, but I have a zilch knowledge about user acquisition and marketing. What steps should I take before seeking venture money or seed financials? Consult with potential publishers or hire some marketing guys for a pre-seed phase, maybe. I know it's a kind of dumb question for you, all you cool marketing specialists, but help a guy out. He's not very good at this, you know.
Yeah, let me get it. So there are a lot of different publishers and investment funds, and all of them got their own rules, their own requests. So you can get information just talking with each other, and at least from my side, from my venture capital, I can say that even if you don't have a lot of knowledge about the marketing, that's not a big deal, because we are happy to share our expertise, help with any other questions, or be something like a CMO at the first. So yeah, we got a marketing department to deal with such questions and troubles, and it's me, by the way. So make your game good from good to great. It's something like what I do on a daily basis. So please ask questions more, and we will help.
So you're reaching a hand in marketing to the aspiring new devs, right?
Sure. Not only marketing, but any kind of expertise. We got game developers, game designers, producers, a lot of other departments, which I can mention a lot of time. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
So the other question is from one of our viewers, Nikita Lofimov. He's asking, is it really difficult to motivate people to stay in your game studio? And what are the general patterns of finding developers and designers for your studio? Is it okay to work with agencies to do that?
I can answer this.
Okay.
So, you know, if it really depends on the case in the studio, but in general, if you have healthy atmosphere, healthy processes, which is really sufficient, it shouldn't be a problem, of course. But speaking about patterns of finding developers and designers for your studio, it also really depends on your phase. But I advise you to check your warm contacts first, then you can check agencies. Yes, because it's a really good idea speaking about agencies, because they usually have a huge base of candidates, and which should suit your salary and so on. So yes, it's always a good idea to use agencies for any kind of vacancies that are open in the studio.
Okay, I would also advise from myself to go to different communities, because there are lots of different forums and different chats and different communities among developers and among game developers, where you could actually find the people who would want to work on your project. It's really possible to do that. The other question also from Nikita is, why do accelerators mostly rarely help with hiring processes? So is it the case with MGVC or not?
So yes, I can answer this also. MGVC is a partner. It's not an accelerator. Yeah, it's we're speaking about investments, but speaking about MGVC, yes, of course, we can help with the HR processes in any kind of this. For example, building atmosphere in your studio. For example, hiring processes and setup of the processes, or maybe we can set up the process by ourselves because we have a huge HR team. I can say HR powerhouse, a huge user candidates base, and of course, each of our partner can use these options to scale their hiring processes. But I think usually accelerators really help with hiring because they are not a partner for you. They are just maybe a fund or maybe a program. So they are not interested and have maybe resources to help with such deep studio processes.
It's like low-level processes. Yeah, like low-level coding.
Yeah, they are helping you with money and some expertise, not with your company to how to run it, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Another question from one of my fellow devs who just he wants to remain anonymous. How new App Store policies influenced user acquisition and performance of newly launched and even current games? Some changes, some money drainers to acquire more users, something like that. Something changed for you?
Yeah, iOS 14.5 and new Google Android policies that would be in. I would say that they would be implied, and in half a year or something like that. So, anyone would say something about user acquisition and the attribution?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about this. This is a huge topic, so I could like go on for 2 hours on this like specific topic alone. If we sum it up, yes, the user acquisition has become much more complicated on iOS, and any studio that does UA on iOS can tell you this. It's become very difficult to measure campaign performance the way that it used to work, and developers are constantly working out new ways of doing this. So when it comes to launching a new game, I wouldn't say that it's very difficult, very different, I'm sorry, from running iOS campaigns for a new title or for an old title. It's practically the same, same level of difficulty. There is a great blog by Eric Seffert that's called Mobile Dev Memo. I can link it in the chat later on, where you can read all about the privacy changes and the ecosystem.
So it's a kind of a pain, nonetheless.
Yeah, I would actually adapt that one of your partners, AppsFlyer, actually launched a really good system that is using the 6-bit SCAD network, a special system that is actually a little bit helping, but still, it's like, you know, it's a not really good system, because actually it's really horrible right now for all the marketers to get your segments to where you could actually advertise your app. And on iOS, everyone is trying really hard right now to find a remedy, a solution to actually battle these new systems. And everyone is fearing that Google, which actually is trying to do the same as an iOS right now on Android, no one knows how to battle that in the future, but everyone is hoping that we will find some solution for that. So the other question from our viewer is that if we are a small indie studio, we're about to release a game and promote it ourselves, should we maybe look for a publisher or accelerator? What are the general differences between the publisher and accelerator conditions?
I can answer.
Okay.
It's a nice one, I think. So today Game Drive is an event. So it's not an accelerator like a fund and so on. Yeah, it's just an event organized by Google, MGVC and MGVC teams, my games. So the differences between us is like here we give you a huge overview of your game, benchmarks, and so on. So if you want to collaborate with us or raise investments, and of course here you can raise investments in this event. But speaking about like the differences between publisher and this accelerator, so we won't run marketing activities for a game. We won't run some roadmaps for a game. So we won't do this in also this accelerator. But if you want to collaborate on this, for example, on game design, if you need expertise in game design, in marketing, and so on, and you want it, and you need like a partner, of course, you can apply for this event. You can apply on MGVC site also if you are not able to participate in this event. So any kind of applying through site or this event works good for you, and we will help you across all the points that are possible inside the walls of this event. You are muted.
Yeah. So the other question that's really important, I guess, that one of our viewers is asking that they are located in one of the post-Soviet countries and the post-USSR countries. So is it possible to work with MGVC remotely? And do you plan on opening up new branches in different other CIS countries?
You may be located on Mars or Zoom. So if you have a good internet and ability to make calls and to sign documents online, yes, so of course we can work and collaborate. So apply and let's speak and discuss our opportunities together.
Okay, so you can just visit mgvc.com/gamedrive and apply for a meeting and to just consider doing that really soon. So, okay, the other question is that what's more important in your game, technology or idea, or maybe plot, donation and monetization versus the single player? What's I would just elaborate MGVC or you guys who actually work with games. What do you think is more important? Not like from the business sense, or maybe from the business-wise, business side question. So, what do you think about that?
Speaking about MGVC, from MGVC side, I think it really depends on the case and on the genre, because in some cases idea is really important to bring something new to the table. For example, idle games, we see hundreds of games releasing from week to week. So to be successful in idle genre, you should bring something new, innovative to your gameplay. So idea and something about this works really good in this case. But in some other cases and genres, maybe something, some other things should matter. So yes, it really depends on the case, I think.
Okay, so anyone wants to adopt anything from the other positions, guys? I guess everyone is like, I sleep. Okay.
Yep. No, we totally agree. Everything is fine. The next question is kind of interesting from our viewer, Nox Wolf. There are situations where the game could end up in hot water, like licensing issues, maybe some stolen mechanics and breaking patents. Some things happens, and the revenue flow covers this kind of legal costs, or your legal team is also researching every project before agreeing to fund it or to somehow work with it. Anyone?
That's a tough one. Let me try to do it. So first of all, before answering it about the legal issues, as you can see, we got a lot of different games in the stores. So, like for example, Cooking Craze, Cooking Diary, Cooking Madness, Cooking Something, and etc. And they quite the same, and still no one really cares about how you copy or not the real gameplay, and they still got something unique about their own games. So the answer is that yeah, our team can probably help you with it, but first of all, we need to face such a trouble, because for that, at first we need to understand that it's something like a patent of a game mechanic. So, for example, one of the studio got a license for some mechanics, and it's quite a rare, unique, I would say, case. So that's probably something that you will not face at the nearest future.
So if you're making a hyper casual game where someone runs and something happens when you run, I guess there are so many games like that you can actually create anything you want.
And it costs a lot of money to get all the lawyers, some other stuff that you can understand. It's a lot of money, and it's probably easier for you not to change anything, but to make your game even better. So none of the other studios who copy your game will get closer to you and get some of your revenues.
Okay, I guess so. The next question is other kind of like minimum requirements to work with Accelerator, like a professionalism of the team, their experience, or in what kind of stage should be the working prototypes? Should there be an experience of past successful releases, or perhaps any other hidden specific requirements when you are applying for Accelerator or for funding or for investment?
I can answer this. It's a good one. Speaking about Game Drive, your app should be open on Google Play, and it should be at least on the MVP phase. So if you meet these requirements, please apply and enjoy your participation. And speaking about MGVC, like an investment arm of my games, you can apply on any phase, even if you have only an idea and a team to build this game and drive the process and your idea to the market.
So you need to have a vision of your product, basically.
Of course, yes. It's very important, yes. I think.
Okay. So I guess we should hand the microphone to Anton to actually voice up all of the questions that we had in the Zoom for quite some time. Anton, are you there?
Yeah, thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Timur. So we're having some heat from Zafracast guys here tonight. Lots of questions. That's so good. And thank you guys for that. But we also do have some questions from Zoom. And one of them is, how can our studio become a part of My Games ecosystem apart from Game Drive 2? So are there any offline meetings? Are there any partnership deals or whatever? So Artem, can you answer that?
Yes, like I have already said, you can submit your idea or studio to the MGVC site. Or we are also available on every conference that happens in CIS or in Europe. So please meet us over there, and of course apply to this event or to mgvc.com. So yes, that's it, I think.
Short and effective. Thank you. The next one is you've mentioned soft launch and launch on worldwide instead of the US. Although quite recently I've been seeing that many studios and publishers launch in the US to CPI and R1 in the most effective country. Why is that? Vlad?
Yeah. Yeah, guys, so there are two different types of studios. The one who has a lot of budget and expertise, for example, a big studios who already made a successful game and they just copy working mechanics from a good game to a new title, and they just really need to be sure that it will work the same way. And there are new studios who are making their first steps, who don't want to spend a lot of money because there probably can be not only one test for every stage for monetization, retention part, and etc. But a bunch of them. So it's better to save your money for something great than to spend everything and just thinking about what do we do next.
Excuse me, I will interrupt you. I just understood that I haven't fully answered on the question, the previous one. So I want to add some details because it's very important, I believe. So the question was also, are there any partnership deals? So the question, the answer is yes. MGC is really flexible in terms of the deals. So each case is unique. So apply and let's discuss and understand where we can collaborate with you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Artem. So guys, it seems that we have way too many questions that we can answer today, but
that's a good thing, by the way.
That's a very good thing, and that's not a problem at all, because we're going to answer some more right now, and then we can answer all the rest of the questions after that, and maybe on the next AMA session. So don't you get worried. Anyway, the next one is, can I make UA for an app that doesn't exist on the Play market? I just don't understand where should links lead the player after the user clicks on my ad, or can they be empty? Maybe.
Yeah, so I will answer that. You can't run UA campaigns if you don't have an app in the store. However, you can use other tools that can help you out to check the entry funnel, such as split metrics, for example, that we often use to see approximate CTRs and CPIs for our new titles and to understand the volume of the audience, the interest, and the creators, for example. So yeah, it's another type of traffic. So it's web traffic. So you won't see metrics that are actually will be in your app. However, it helps you to understand the basic funnel and the entry funnel and whether the audience outside that is interested in your project.
All right. That's great. Thank you, Nastya. So yeah, we have one more question, and I
guess
believe
it's the last one. Yeah.
Yep.
And last one we can actually afford today in our time frame.
Yeah. So do you guys recommend validating early game concepts with CDR tests on Facebook? And if yes, what should be the targeted number of impressions/views? Please do help us out with that.
Whenever any speaker that is wanting to actually answer this question, I would actually input my view that it's a really common practice right now among the game developers to actually promote the concepts to just evaluate the demand on your app. Sometimes it could be a landing page that is actually getting the emails to remind the people that your game is releasing or something like that. But still, it's a really good concept, because sometimes when you get like a few million views and a few like dozens, thousands of clicks that is coming to your page and leaving a few thousand emails to your page, that's a really good idea, because whenever these people would actually want to play your game, if the game would be totally different from the concept that you were promoting, you still can remind them that your game is releasing, and maybe they would be your first wave of users that are going to be playing your game. So any other question? Any other answers?
Yeah, I can add a little bit to your wonderful answer. Is that when it comes to Validating concepts, yes, actually Facebook is very helpful in this regard because you can actually target your audience. And yes, CTR tests are the way to go. What should be the targeted number of impressions/views? It all really depends on how many clicks you have, because you have to, like, the thing you're looking for is CTR, and it should be statistically like representative. So it really depends on the country that you're targeting, on the audience. It's a mathematical question, let's say.
Wow, you guys you have so much expertise. I love that. So this is the end for today. We've done an hour and a half of amazing talks and Q&A session. So don't worry if we haven't answered your question today. We'll do that later, and some of them have been answered in chats, and that's a great thing. So we should wrap things up for today. And I want to thank you all who took part in today's AMA session. And of course, special thanks goes out to our speakers who shared with us today lots of interesting insights and the wisdom and all of that. Apart from that, I would like to thank our Zavtracast colleagues. These guys are amazing. They have so much to add. They're so cool. Thank you, guys. Lots of questions from your audience. Lots of answers from you guys as well. And before we end our session today, let me remind you that we have 3 more sessions to come in September and October. So please stay tuned and check the Game Drive website for more details. You see the link to the Game Drive right now. You also see the QR code. Please use that. Everything is there. Every basic answers to your questions are there. And of course, you will receive personal invitations for upcoming sessions right in your mailbox. That is, of course, if you have already subscribed previously on the website you see on your screens. Yeah, so let me remind you that if you're a mobile game developer who has your project already published on Google Play and you're looking for support, consulting, or investments, please submit your project again on mgvc.com/gamedrive. The next session, the second AMA, is going to take place on September 30. We're going to discuss prototyping, product validation, analytics, and genre risks. Please do not miss that. We're going to have some people from Google Play, by the way. Again, please make sure you've registered for AMA session on our Game Drive website. You see the link. It's on your screens. You have the QR code. Do not tell us that you've missed it for some reason. And all registered participants will receive an email notification with the link for the next AMA. Again, thank you all so much. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you to the Zavtracast colleagues. Thank you to the viewers. Thank you to the My Games colleagues. Thank you to Google colleagues. Have a nice rest of the day. I hope we've done what we've promised for today and answered your most itchy questions. Thank you, guys, and see you later. Bye.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.